Okay, so we're looking at percentage multipliers. Okay, so we'll just write down a definition of what that is first. A percentage multiplier is when we write our percentage as a decimal is when we write our percentage as a decimal and multiply. So get that down. Okay, so we also know that percentage means out of 100. So to do this, to convert from a percentage to a decimal, we divide by 100. Okay, to convert from percentage to a decimal, we divide by 100. So get that down as well. Okay, then we're going to have a go at these two questions here. So this one here is example 1. This one here is example 1. We'll do both of these. So multiplying by which number is equivalent to finding 80%. So if I'm finding 80%, we want to write that as a percentage multiplier, which would be, so remember 80% actually means 80 over 100, which in this case is equal to 0.8. You could just do 80 divided by 100, which is basically what it means. So multiplying by which number is equivalent to finding 80%, well, I times by 0.8. This is our multiplier, okay? If I wanted to find 80%, it's simply just times by 0.8. In fact, I'm going to even write that. To find 80% times by 0.8. So have a go at that one on the right hand side. So let's go through it then. So which number is equivalent to finding 16%? Well, this one here is going to be 16%, which means 16 divided by 100, which is equal to 0.16. So if I wanted to find 16%. This is the same as timesing by 0.16. Brilliant. Okay, let's have a go at these next two. Now this one here is a little bit different. We definitely need to get both of these down. So example 1 and example 2. These ones here are where we get a little bit trickier. So definitely write this one down. So what would you multiply by to increase a number by 70%? So what would I multiply a number by to increase a number by 70%? Well, first of all, we need to do that increase. So we need to do 100%, and because it's an increase by 70%, it means we're adding 70%, which is equal to 170%. So this here represents an increase of 70%. That's what this is. Okay? This here represents an increase of 70%. So then if I wanted to find the multiplier for this, it's going to be 170%, which is equal to 170. Percent means divided by 100, which is equal to 1.7. So an increase of 70% is the same as timesing by 1.7. Okay, so have a little go at that one on the right hand side. So make sure we're not making any mistakes with this one. Okay. Now people may have forgotten that this is a percentage decrease. So we've got to be careful with that. We're not increasing this time, we are decreasing. So when I'm doing that, my starting point here is to say that 100%, a decrease of 8% is minus 8%, which is equal to 92%. Do get this one down in your notes, please. So this here represents a decrease of 8%. So then to find the multiplier for this, it's going to be 92%, which is equal to 92 divided by 100, which is equal to 0.92. So if I wanted a decrease of 8%, that would be times by 0.92. So notice these are increase and decrease ones now, so they're very slightly different. I'll give you a second to get those down. This one here now, we'll go to example 3. So this now is actually asking us to increase by 13%. Now, we'd probably use the multiplier for this method for this one because 13% is quite awkward. We'd have to find 10%, then we'd have to find 1%, then we'd have to times by 3. Whereas if we're doing a multiplier method, it becomes quite quick and easy. Okay? So if I want an increase of 13%, let's do that first of all. So let's write down that as a percentage. So this is going to be 100% plus 13%, which is equal to 113%. This represents an increase of 13%. So if I wanted to write that as a multiplier, it's going to be 113 divided by 100, which is equal to 1.13. So both of these represent an increase of 13%. So that's our first part. We already know how to do that. Now, the important part is understanding what this represents. I'm just going to show you on the calculator, what do I get if I do 100 times by 1.13? Well, if I do 100 times by 1.13, I get 113% here. Okay? So if I do 100 times by 1.13, I get that 113%. So I know that this 220 represents 100%. That's my starting point here. Okay? So let's just write that down. So 100% is equal to 220. So if I wanted to find 113%, then I need to times by my multiplier, which is 1.13. So 113% is equal to this side times by 1.13 as well. Let's just do that on the calculator. So 220 times by 1.13 is equal to, let's change to a decimal, so 248.6. So this is equal to 248.6. Now, they've wrote it in pounds down here, they haven't wrote it in pounds on the top, but if it's at pounds at the bottom, we know that means it's £248 and 60p. We wouldn't leave it as 60. So have a little go at that one on the right hand side there. So let's have a little go at this one then. So here, the first thing we need to do is work out what my multiplier is, and that's going to be, it's a decrease of 5%, so it's going to be 100% minus 5%, which is equal to 95%. Writing that as a multiplier is equal to 95 over 100, which is equal to 0.95. So we know that the 72 represents 100%, so we'd write here 100% is equal to 72. So to find 95%, which represents a decrease of 5%, we times by 0.95. So 95% is equal to 72 times by 0.95. So just do that on the calculator, nice and quick. Just do it on here, shouldn't I, actually? So 72 times by 0.95 is equal to 68.4. So it's 68.4, which is £68.40. Brilliant. Super. Good work. Alright, so let's have a go now. This is our last question, and then we'll have a go at some questions. So, get this one down as a GCSE exam question. This was 3 marks, this one. So, Ross has a season ticket. In 2013, the season ticket cost £35. In 2014, the cost of the ticket was increased by 8%. So, that's an increase of 8%. Okay, there. Okay. And in 2015, it was increased by a further 5%. Now, what we don't do here is we do not, and this is what a lot of people do, add these together and then times by that, because that's not the same. Okay? That would be, it's called simple interest, but we're not going to talk about that now. What you've got to do is you've got to do it year on year. Okay? In fact, I'm going to write that here. We must do this year by year. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to do the increase of 8%, which is going to be 100% plus the 8%, which is equal to 108%, which is a multiplier is equal to 1.08. So that will be my multiplier for the first year. For the second year, we're increasing by 5%, so that's equal to 100% plus the 5%, which is equal to 105%, which is equal to a multiplier of 1.05. Now, when I do this, you'll actually understand and see why we can't increase by 13%. You'll see why in a second. So we know the original amount, which is 100%, is £65. Okay? So that's what I'm going to write down first of all. 100% is equal to £65. So this here was in 2013. Then there was an increase of 8%. So if I do an increase of 8%, that means I need to times by 1.08 and times by 1.08, which would give me an increase of 108%. So let's just write that, work out what that is. So 65 times by 1.08 is equal to £72.20. Okay, so let's just write that down here. £72.20. Now, that was the price then in 2014. In 2015, there's another increase of 5%. Now, an increase of 5% is times by 1.05. Now, when I do this, you'll see why increasing by 13% doesn't work. Because if I do 108% times by 1.05, I actually get 113.4%. So because it happens every single year, you get that increase which is more than 13%, because you're increasing 108 by 5%. So actually our percentage here is 113.4%, which is equal to, so 113.4%. Now I need to times that right hand side by this as well, so that's going to be £72.20 times by 1.05, which is equal to £75.81p. So this is £75, what did I say it was? £75.81. And that was an increase of 5%. So you can see there why we can't just add them together, because actually it's more than an increase of 13%. And that's our final answer. So calculate the cost of the ticket after the two price increase. Well, we've just worked that out, which is equal to £75.81p. Okay, if you're catching up, have a go at these questions now. So have a go at these questions. So pause and have a go at those. And if you're catching up, there's the answers for those.